Okay, so this is episode 4 of our YouTube exclusive Ask Pete. We're about to head out fishing here today, but
yes, we are.
First we're gonna answer a couple questions because we thought it was a good time. So we're gonna hit you with some answers to some questions here, and remember to leave your questions down below if you want a question answered. Okay, so Dad, our first question is from Jay Glass, which was a question from YouTube. And he asked, how fast do you troll for muskies in the summer/fall, and do you change speeds at night?
Well, yeah, there's a general range. I would say, as a general rule, in warmer water, I'm going to go faster. So my average speed in the summer months, let's say, warmer water, will probably be about high 3s to 4. Overall, I'd say my average is about 3.2 to 3.5. Generally, the colder the water, the slower I'm going to go. The dirtier the water, the slower I'm going to go. At night, the slower I'm going to go in general. However, saying all of that, one thing I always tell people, regardless of what you're doing, if you're structure trolling, in a lot of cases you have to turn to follow structure. But it doesn't matter if you're open water trolling where you don't have to turn, or structure trolling, you should turn quite a bit because that speeds up and slows down your lures. And what that allows you to do is to pattern the fish while you're doing it. So in other words, if you're turning sharp and you get a hit on a lure that's on the outside, which is speeding up when you're turning this way, then that tells you that maybe you might want to speed up in general. Obviously, vice versa, you will see patterns where the fish are hitting slower, and you will also see patterns on pauses sometimes where the lures are actually fluttering up. So you kind of got to play that game, but in general, as a very general rule, cooler water, slower, visibility down, slower.
Alright, Dad, so our next question is from Richard Toms on YouTube, and he asks, what length leader do you recommend for bucktails and cranks, and do you prefer a 100-pound fluorocarbon, or is wire better?
Okay, well, I would say on the casting leaders, 12 to 14 inches is probably the best, and if you go too long, you aren't going to be able to figure 8 real well, so you definitely don't. 18 would be absolute max, but I would say the ones that I make, and most of the production models out there are about 12 inches long, but I'm 12 to 14 inches. With regard to the type of leader, I will generally go fluorocarbon with anything that's generally a straight retrieve bait. Now, it seems in most cases, not always, and you need to test this on your own. Ideally, I'm going to prefer fluorocarbon over wire because of the visibility factors and also because of the ease on the fish using fluorocarbon, just in case you ever get in the corner of the jaw or if they roll or whatever. Fluorocarbon is better overall, but I do use straight wire on erratic lures in a lot of cases. And this can be either jerk baits, soft plastics that you're using in a jerking fashion, or crankbaits twitching and jerking as well in order to get that side-to-side activity out of it. Test them, but in a lot of cases you will actually get more erratic, more side-to-side action out of a straight wire as opposed to a fluorocarbon. And then with regard to the pound test on fluorocarbon, I use a minimum of a 100-pound test. I do use Seagar or Brazex. It's absolutely the best stuff out there, but you definitely want to make sure that you're not stepping down too far in fluorocarbon because the toothy critters can cut. I've had them cut 80-pound test in the past.
Alrighty, Dad, and our final question of the episode is from Brad Davenport, and he asks, does John Gillespie drive you nuts, or is he a good guy?
Well, we're kind of going to go off the rails here on this one because it is Gillespie. Oh, by the way, I'm going sturgeon fishing. I'm literally here in a parking lot doing this Ask Pete on the way out to go ice sturgeon fishing after dark. This is going to be an interesting deal. Something that Gillespie would try and do, by the way. But it's interesting how often I get that question about Gillespie because of his personality, really. The coolest, he's not totally off the rails, believe me. Unbelievable guy, and actually one of the best fishermen, most knowledgeable you're ever going to meet. The problem is he's got this crazy personality where he goes wacko. He's definitely excitable. He loves fishing, and because of the fact that he does get genuinely that excited and basically goes crazy, in a lot of cases, guys like me who are fishing with him end up kind of playing the straight man with John, because he does hyperventilate. I mean, years ago, I used to think any minute this guy is going to have a heart attack, but he never has. He's fine still. If he hasn't died yet, there's no way he's ever going to die from this. Loves fishing, must keep his heart good. But anyway, on a serious note, that is absolutely genuine, the way he acts. That excitement is real, and that's actually so cool that he's still doing that after all these years. Now think about this. Here's the thing. Nobody has done as many fishing TV shows as John. Period. End of story. A new one every week. He goes out and films. He has to edit. Obviously, anybody who's done any fishing knows it doesn't always go well. I could tell stories for hours and hours and hours, but believe me, the guy is a hardcore fisherman. He doesn't get enough credit for it. I can't tell you how many times I've put in many hours, couple days in a row, and then driving home, not getting home till 2, 3 in the morning. Well, anyway, he loves fishing. He's unbelievably hardcore. For those of you who would think that maybe he's got it easy, and believe me, it's fun and he loves it, but if you tried to follow him around for about 2 months, I got a feeling you'd be worn out.